Hey, 101 with Mark Bichachi. So a particularly happy time for me, though I should be happy, because Kenya just celebrated 60 years of existing. If Kenya was a person, it would be retiring, would be holding up a cake, congratulating this particular individual for growing through the ranks of society and career and achieving their goal and retiring into the sunset to see pina coladas in the beach in Diani and having a jolly good time. However, Kenya and many African countries is like those retirees who never really did anything of note. It is like one of those retirees who are retiring, wishing they had more time because they just had a baby a year before with their 20-year-old girlfriend, and now they've got to start changing diapers, and guess what? They're all out of diaper money. Now you may wonder, a usually optimistic fellow like me, why am I speaking like this? I'm speaking like this because I am black. In case you did not notice, my brand is more dark brown kiwi and black than it is tan kiwi and other such colors. Why? Because white people have the great USA, the United Kingdom, and if you are of a Soviet persuasion, you even have Russia. In Africa, rather, we've got Nigeria. That is the richest country in Africa, which is one of the biggest producers of oil in the world. But that's not what it's known for. It's known for weird princes writing you emails telling you there's a fortune you can win. It is full of F-boys living in Great Wall apartments somewhere in Syokimau, living 16 of them in a 2-bedroom house and stealing your girlfriend at the bar because with all that money they save on rent, they can afford the Hennessy. You can't. And perhaps the shame of it all is capped by the second richest country in Africa, which is South Africa. South Africa HIV's prevalence rate is what? Over 20%. Meaning that 1 in 4 people has HIV. 1, 2, 3 positive. 1, 2, 3 positive. That's how you count South Africans. And let's not forget, they have something called load shedding. There is no power for days in South Africa. Second richest country in Africa. For Africans to feel proud, a Kalenjin from Rift Valley needs to be running. That's when we feel proud. There are very few activities upon which Africa comes on top. Well, there are other activities that are just not positive. Corruption being one, Africans are on top. Civil strife, Africans are on top. Poverty, Africans are on top. 60 years later, we still can't get it right. What is wrong with us? Now, 60 years later, Africa is still what it was 200, 300, 400 years ago. It is still a place where raw materials are extracted. It is not a place that produces technology. It's not a place that innovates. It's not a place where governance is established. It is a place where you dig the ground and you give out whatever comes out of the ground. Whether digging the ground is agriculture or digging the ground to get gold or silver or diamonds or oil, that's what Africa is about. And so, just yesterday, someone asked me a question. They asked me, why is it that Africans in the diaspora are doing so well, while Africa itself isn't? And we know the pictures, we know the videos of Africans, chief engineer here, senator there, presidents in the United States of America. Africans outside of Africa are brilliant. They're doing well. So what is the difference? Kenya at 60, why didn't we grow up? I'll tell you what. Africa has personal intelligence. We lack communal intelligence. Our collective IQ reduces the more Africans you put together. Let me put it in perspective. The average African president knows how to make himself rich, knows how to build a umklanga, the way Jacob Zuma did it. They know how to do it. Jacob Zuma, who could not say 700,000 shillings, knew how to blow billions of South Africans' money to make himself wealthy. That Africans know. We are excellent at it. We are good at self-enrichment. We are good at making the self number one. But we totally and absolutely suck at making our communities come together and have collective intelligence, collective goals, and achieve a collective dream. So much so that the African cannot inherit wealth. Let me explain what I mean. When the British were trying to oppress the Irish many hundreds of years ago, they instituted rules for Ireland that was supposed to make them poor. Now, among many rules, including having landlords and having extreme pressure on them, they also made sure that inheritance was divided. They made sure that every Irishman who died, when his land was supposed to be given to the next generation, it had to be divided. Now, what is that to do with prosperity? Well, I'll give it to you in the most basic manner you can understand. The more you divide your land, the more useless it is. In the UK at the time, what used to happen in Britain was that the firstborn son will take care of the land. It would remain consolidated while the brothers and sisters went to look for others' careers, whether they were blacksmithing, machining, baking, or whatever, meaning that they had a solid base upon which the family name would continue. In Africa today, me, my brother, my sisters, and everybody else is looking and waiting anxiously for my old man and old lady to croak so that we can divide a measly acre among the 15 of us. And then we expect that Africa will make wealth. Africa does not plan beyond the stomach. We think about right now the pressures of today. Like Esau, we are hunters, and whenever it takes too long to hunt, we go back hungry and famished, looking to the white man Jacob to sell us stew, lentil stew, Jacob food. This is why I hate chapati and dengu to this day. I will not eat the things that steal our birthright. How does Africa change? Africa has to change when we change our culture. I used to think Africa will change when you build beautiful highways. Why? Because when Moi was president, I was so concerned. I'm telling you, I used to come from Nairobi to Nakuru because I had an eye problem, as you can see. It's quite obvious. And I had to come from Nakuru to Kikuyu Eye Hospital. It would take me 4 hours. Not because there was traffic, but because the level of the potholes increased the length of our journey. To travel 1 meter, you have to go down like this and up a pothole. Took such a long time. And I thought if Kenya just had roads, we would be much better. But we are not. Why? Because we changed the roads, we did not change the Kenyan driver. Mad people. Mad people. The matatu that stops in the middle of the road, the guy who's going at 20 kilometers per hour on the right side of a triple carriageway, going slower than a snail. And when you honk at him, he rolls down his window and looks at you and wonders how mad you are. Yes, Kenya is a country of madmen, so is Africa. When you're in government, people ask you, why didn't you steal? Why aren't you wealthy? The answer is this. Kenya at 60 needs to grow up. We need to change. What are the things that we need to change? We need to start having communal intelligence. What do I mean by communal intelligence? Our leaders, first and foremost, need to start making decisions that are good for the people, not good for them. In the 17 and 1800s, when Europe systematically destroyed monarchies, they created parliamentary democracies, governments for the people, by the people. Every European country that did so, including the United Kingdom, in signing of the Magna Carta, achieved one thing that Africa only dreams it could. What did they achieve? They achieved the voice of the people being represented in their government. Kenya is a place where the people will cry foul, scream at the top of their lungs, tweet with the most vigorous of thumb movements. But our parliament, our government, our judicial system will ignore the people. Kenya has spoken many times of revolution, cessation, etc. None of those will solve our problems. What will solve our problems? Really? Really? Is when we start choosing leaders who care more about making money for everyone than they do about making money for themselves. What Kenya lacks at 60 is the ability to think about the family more than they think about the individual. I'm not happy when Kenya has turned 60. Not at all. But I want to be. I really want to be. But guess what? We can make this country better. Not just by roads, cheaper electricity, cheaper food. Not just by that. But I just wish that as Kenya turned 60, to become like a wise grandfather who looked at his children, read the Bible, and understood that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And then Kenya did what every wise man does. Answered the question of what and who is a Kenyan beyond Vision 2030. We need long-term vision. We need long-term perspective. We need long-term ideals. The culture of self-enrichment needs to be replaced by the communal idea that we are all richer if we are rich together. The richer we are in common, the safer we will be, the more stable we will be, and the less we will be embarrassed about being black. Asians have China, they have Singapore, they have Malaysia, they have South Korea, they have Japan. Asian giants who've made it in this world. White people have UK, France, Russia, United States, Canada, Australia. They've got so many lands they can be proud of. Africa, where we really run to. We need a beacon of hope. And I hope as Kenya plans to turn 61 next year, it becomes the one country that Africans can say, anywhere they are, if you're black skin, I am proud because I know one country that made it. That's my take. Kenya at 60.